Hello to everyone listening. Just a quick disclaimer. We recorded this a bit off the cuff and in the same room without the best tech, so expect some echoey and distorted sounds here and there. I did the best I could to diffuse some of the background noise, but this is just another hurdle I gotta just keep jumping going forward. That said, enjoy our banter on some of the worst and best 2020 had to offer in the movie sphere. We do get into Cobra Kai Season 3 spoilers at the beginning of this, just FYI, so I suggest skipping a few minutes ahead if you don't want to hear all of that. But rest assured, enjoy the rest of the podcast. What were we talking about? Cobra Kai, Season 3.
Yeah, Cobra Kai Season 3 was awesome. like you said that fight at the end.
Well, it gets so over the top because it's like Ralph Macchio learns this new special move from Shogun from Part 2 and almost basically kills Kreese by the end, but then, shows mercy.
Dude, when Chosen showed up at the bar, I totally knew he was gonna be a good guy. Like, they wouldn't introduce two villains like they did with Johnny, but I thought he was gonna be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Give him a high five. Yeah. But I actually loved what they did with Chosen's character, because him being so ruthless and stuff.
Yeah, because they had that big fight to the death. But even those little character inserts, like the little girl that you saved in Part 2 from the storm, she shows up.
What makes me so happy about the show is they've gotten all the old actors back, and they're all not a bunch of washed up crackheads. Yeah. They're all still working, and they're all actually pretty good. I think William Zabka is the best of all of them.
He carries the show very well.
I'm not saying that meaning any of the other actors are bad. I think Ralph Macchio has his moments. Overall, I think he's
kind of
he's
a little
okay.
flat. Yeah.
He's not as good as who plays Kreese.
Martin Cove.
Cove. He's so into it. Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I do think William Zabka. Not only is Johnny still my favorite character, but I think he is probably the best actor on the show. The guy who plays Miguel is good too. And I really liked his character in Season 3. And he sees it all from our point of view too, how crazy it all is.
He's the good face for Gen Z because he's out of touch with all of the 80s aesthetic that Bill Zabka is so used to, and Bill Zabka is just so out of touch with the younger generation. It's pretty great.
And I don't know, it was just awesome. The big fight at the house at the end.
Just wild.
It's nothing is as good as that school fight at the end of Season 2. That's still the best fight in the whole series. That was wild.
They left out one character, played by, I think his name is Paul Walter Hauser, the really big guy that was trying to get in with the...
I didn't like him.
I didn't like him in Season 2, and I'm glad they just kind of scrapped him.
Yeah, I think most people didn't like him.
Yeah.
And they got rid of that other character, too. What was Aisha? The girl in Cobra Kai? She was, one of the first members.
Yeah. I don't know why she disappeared off the face of the show, but oh well.
Maybe they just didn't ask her to come back.
Yeah.
Probably just couldn't figure out what to do with her. Yeah. But I think I love the way where it ended, and I love Johnny was starting his own dojo. Eagle Fang.
Eagle.
It's an eagle with fangs.
The third party.
But seriously, that's what it was, because it was the whole show is Daniel. Karate's all about balance, and Daniel was too much on one side, and Johnny was too much on the other side. Kreese takes that whole extreme position. Now it's Johnny. He's finding the balance. He's finding the way in between where it's you have to defend yourself. Don't be a pussy, as he says. You can't be a pussy about it, but don't be an asshole,
Yeah, exactly.
What?
So good. That's the best way to kind of interpret Season 3, and I'm hoping Season 4 will be the firm close on the show, because we got this big ass tournament that's going to come up between these three maybe two rivaling teams, but as they've kind of teamed up together at the end. But
I also think Robbie.
Yeah.
I did not like him in Season 1 or 2. In Season 3, I started liking him more. It was probably his haircut, but he's on Kreese's side now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't bite itself in the butt there.
There just won't be a fight. It's like, guys, it's not about the karate. It's about the friends we made along the way.
Your enemies think they're the hero, and you're the villain. There is no good.
Look at this freak.
There is no bad. Only weak, but strong.
What are you, Tango and Cash?
No, Tango and Cash were narcotics detectives.
Oh, I'm sorry. You do realize neither one of you are cops, right?
Some of the worst stuff that came out, if you want to get into that. Host. Shudder's Host. You didn't see that one?
Oh, these are the worst?
Yeah.
No, how bad was that?
First off, it was getting...
Oh, it was a video chat movie?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see it, but...
And it's I think it's just it's just under an hour. That's the only good thing I'll say about it. It's pretty short, but it's wholly unoriginal. I was just...
God, dude. You know what? I think there's a good social media horror movie somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a code yet to be cracked, but they take this shit it's so weird. They always shoot it from like the computer's point of view. It's like, okay, I'm not a computer, but whatever.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. I think there's an idea to go, but they keep making these shitty movies. The idea is just gonna die.
Yeah, it's like fear.com, friend request, or unfriended. All this, it's like they're all just telling the same story, and they're just making us feel more pathetic about our own lives.
Who wants to watch a horror movie called Friend Request?
Yeah.
It sounds like a Teletubbies episode.
But yeah, Host, I mean, it was getting glowing reviews when it first came out, and I was probably the only one at the time sitting there thinking, am I watching just like a completely different movie from you guys? And the other thing is, like, in 2020, given its many issues, I don't want to be reminded of quarantining and mask wearing and all this stuff in my films. I want to escape. I want to see a different artistic side to this.
We'll get the quarantine. The quarantine movies will be good in like 15 years.
Yeah.
When we have like a new generation of people who didn't really experience it, and it's all overblown. Like, you guys were locked inside like for months, and we're like, well, no, not really, but the movie's good, you know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to really give it time. Here's another one that you did see, The Social Dilemma.
The Social Dilemma. Wow, what a weird and shitty movie. Like, I like documentaries, and this movie is split into two parts, right? It's the documentary portions and then the dumbass dramatization portions. I'll save that for later because there's more to talk about on that. But the documentary portions, it's shot in it's like a modern way where it's talking straight to your face. So matter of fact, you have to take all these people so seriously that it's like what you said. It's like all these people are talking about these problems, and it's like, okay, they're smart, they know what they're talking about. Do you have any solutions? Like, what are we gonna do about it? Yeah. That it's just kind of frustrating at this point.
It's big tech giants kind of just talking down to sheepy Netflix users. It's like
yeah, and I mean, I think most of the stuff they were talking about, it's definitely serious, but we get it. Like, yeah, we know we're getting blasted with ads all the time. Yeah. That's why we have ad blocker on our computers.
Yeah, there you go.
But then you get the weird ass like dramatization portions, which is like the weirdest ass family you could ever meet. The most boring family. There's a part where the mom takes their phones away. Yeah. Because they're distracted by their cell phone use. And she puts them in... Okay, first of all, this blew my mind. The movie is saying internet's blasting ads at you all the time. In the middle of these dramatization portions, they have an ad for this like box you can buy that locks items in. It even says, as seen on Shark Tank. So it's like, okay, so you're just throwing us ads, which is what you're saying is like so terrible that everyone else is doing. But anyway, she puts the phones in this box that's only like, I don't know, $29.99. And then they're all eating dinner, and because they don't have their phones, they don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah. And it's like, you guys, this is a huge problem you guys should probably be addressing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is not the look at the normal family. Like, this family needs some therapy. Let's turn this into a therapist documentary about why we should all get therapy. Like, I can get behind that. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah. If
any of these like techies were at least pushing like, well, this is the time for you to like self-actualize and get some help. Like, okay, yeah, but you didn't even say that.
Exactly.
You just talk about all the problems that are coming with this tech, and we're, you know, like we can agree there, but you're not. Where do we go?
Yeah, but that's just the first level. You have the little brain inside the cell phone, which is 3 guys. The character from Mad Men, Pete Campbell from Mad Men.
He was there, yeah.
And it's just so stupid because they have this like little like it's like a polygon like structure skeleton of a human who's the horny kid. And then slowly throughout the progression of the film, you see it progress into horny kid in the flesh, signifying that the phone has total grasp of you and is manipulating every decision in your life.
Yeah. Like there's streamlined way on how it like your phone or your devices kind of mess with your nerves. Like, oh, I'm going to use this emoji. Oh, I'm going to give this one a like. You know, it's just like, okay, I get the psychology you're trying to discuss here, but this is so on the nose and like as if we wouldn't pick up on this anyway.
Yeah, it's so on the nose. They use this ugly shit-colored color palette, trying to make it look like a David Fincher movie or something.
It's just trying to be cute.
Yeah, and it just, you know, I'm not saying the message is bad. I'm not saying it's something that shouldn't be discussed. But just do it better because it was just laughable. Yeah. It was laughable.
It was pretty bad.
And I don't take it seriously. And guess what? I like seeing some relevant ads. If I like buying movies, I want to see new movies that have come out.
Well, it's part of your job too. I mean, you have to kind of advertise yourself and promote yourself to even get your voice out there.
Yeah.
It's part of the craft.
But anyway.
Yeah, shitty documentary. Terrible. Shame on Netflix.
Shame on half star.
Yeah. My half star, because that's all I gave it on Letterboxd, was Gretel and Hansel, the new horror film by Oz Perkins.
I didn't know they still named people Oz.
Yeah, I think it's short. I think he's got a longer name, but he just calls himself Oz. I've defended this guy for a while. It's
what was his previous film?
I think it was Blackcoat's Daughter. Maybe I can't remember if it was one of those films. That I remember kind of liking fine. It was decently well made and had some creepy chill factor to it, but I was a little weird going into this one thinking it looked really impressive, but it was going to have like a shit story, and that's basically what I got. It was a beautiful looking movie, terrible weighted down story that's just completely watered to talk about.
Does it do any justice to the original Hansel and Gretel story?
Not really. It doesn't even have to be technically
I thought
Gretel
the
and
witch
Hansel.
lived in like a cookie house.
So that's one thing that they changed. She's got like a big table of food and galore and whatnot for the 2 kids, but no, that's just a regular little mill house.
How does it do anything creatively with expanding on the story? I guess there's some scene where they try to escape or something.
So the whole time they're trying to like remove Hansel from the picture, and she's prepping Gretel to be the next witch. And it's trying to, again, I don't get hung up on this kind of stuff normally in movies, but it's trying to push that whole like concept, female empowerment kind of.
Female empowerment, yeah. Well, they put the her name first, so obviously you knew it was going to be a little different, but
yeah. But it was just told in such a tired way. It was very boring. The performances did not like. There was nothing oh god, Gretel's narration in that film was terrible too.
Oh, there was a voiceover narration?
Yeah, she would like chime in at points when we'd already see what she was doing. It's like the worst examples of just narrating.
It's like the Blade Runner cut. The first cut with Harrison Ford's narration. He's like, "We went to the police station. It was dark."
I don't know what the android meant when he said that in the rain.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he did have life. Maybe he didn't.
I don't know. I hate Ridley Scott.
In fact, I hate acting. All right, so I wanted to hear your opinions on Tenet because I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot about it, and I just want to know what you think about it. Knowing, I think we have similar opinions on Christopher Nolan in that he's a good filmmaker, and he comes up with pretty good ideas. I think where he lacks is in dialogue, characters, and all of his movies kind of look the same.
Yeah. I would say he's also very good generally with action and spectacle. He does this
Except for in Batman Begins. His action in Batman Begins sucks.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad.
Except for... yeah.
And I do appreciate his nuanced take to keep things as practical as possible and as in camera as possible, and shooting on 35 millimeter and IMAX. Tenet is like every single trope you've come to know Nolan for, all harnessed into one film.
Ooh.
I would say it's closest, probably, like at least as a sibling, probably Inception, but all like the worst aspects of Inception.
Yeah, because Inception's not a bad movie. It just has such a high level of praise that I think is undeserved. And it's too long.
Yeah. It is. No, and so Tenet, like, it suffers from a lot of just characters espousing expository dialogue. You can't separate any of these characters from one another. They try to give them like little ounces of some sort of humanity, but then it always just kind of backfires and you just forget about them the next minute. He always does this with his big, loud, audacious sort of action sequences, but there's so much padding going on. It's like you want to, I get you want to have like an ensemble cast, but I can't like keep up with all these different action sequences happening simultaneously. You always do this shit, and it's like, I don't know, at a certain point I was just like, I checked out. I couldn't even follow along.
Just with plot wise.
Even the new fresh look, like, okay, we're gonna have characters fighting backwards. We're gonna show, just time sort of reverse itself. It gets way too in its own head.
Well, also, another complaint I've heard is that the main character is not a character. He's just there to take you through the actions.
He's literally named the protagonist in the credits.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they say his name?
I think they do. I can't remember.
The protagonist?
Yeah. This is the kind of movie we're working with here.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Maybe I'll see it and I'll really like it. Who knows?
Yeah. But the one good thing about it was the villain. He was okay. What's his name?
Oh, Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh. Yeah. He was pretty good.
Kenneth Branagh, I like him. Yeah. I can
Shakespearean actor.
I'm still trying to forgive him for Frankenstein, but
one of these days, that film will just like disappear off the face of the world, and we'll be in a much better place.
I'm not a monster. I'm not a monster. Maybe the worst casting in the history of film. What's the next? Oh, A Stroke of Genius film. Okay. The last film I saw in theaters in 2020, and the last film I've seen in theaters, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog. We saw this one together before everything went down with COVID, and
we had a good time.
Oh yeah.
I think when I say stroke of genius, I think how all the elements came together did work out better than I thought they would. Setting Sonic in a real world setting, having Jim Carrey in there, and having, Sonic having him in the real world setting, and like having Sonic in there, like being a video game movie, Mm-hmm.
The first Sega produced movie too.
Yeah. But I think because they kept true to the character of Sonic, and because they let Jim Carrey kind of do his thing, if you like Sonic and you like Jim Carrey, you're going to like this movie. Because that's what the movie highlighted.
Yeah, it's like almost like a perfect gem in terms of just like you had everything going out against you making this film. Like this should not have worked out the way it did, especially with the original design concept, which I secretly still want that cut of that Sonic version, just to have for myself, just in case.
Yeah, I want to see it,
just to see how terrible it would.
Oh,
it would
but
play out.
Props to them. I think a bunch of people got overworked and fired or something, and the company went out of business. But the Sonic redesign looks really good.
Yeah, I would never want to work for a VFX company. It sounds
no,
terrible.
Never.
No, but yeah, I think it's funny in all the right places. It's dumb. I'll get that off my chest. It's very dumb, but yeah, I mean, I would show this to a family. like 5, 10.
Oh, when we saw it in the theaters, over half the audience was like over 30 years old. Yeah. When Tails showed up at the end, a bunch of grown men clapped.
That was probably the sad part of the theater experience. Like,
Tails, yeah.
you know, we're in a weird place if it's half family and then half like 40-year-old like man babies.
40-year-old man baby.
No, it's a charming little film, and it knows exactly what it is. It feels like a fun little like 90s movie.
Like Short Circuit, except Sonic doesn't try to have sex with a woman. Oh, and such blatant product placement that it
everywhere
that it went like we were just laughing at it. It like almost to where it worked. Like they just knew they didn't know how to try to fit it in, so they're just like they have a they have like an FBI guy give James Marsden a Olive Garden gift card. He's like, by the way, have you been there on their like
their bolognese is amazing.
He's like, for their free refill night, dude, their spaghetti's outstanding. Like, yeah, exactly what you said.
Ends on an Olive Garden like gag. It's so goofy you just can't help but laugh.
I mean, that's
exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. We saw another one while we were in the Netherlands, and that was Come to Daddy.
Yeah.
With Elijah Wood.
Always been an Elijah Wood fan. We'll always support him. I think he picks great projects. Dude, he's had big movies every year. I feel like he does one movie we liked. I liked Come to Daddy. I'll say that. But even it was last year or 2 years ago. I loved. I'm not alone.
I'm not alone in this world anymore. Yeah, that was really good.
That was a great one. What do you think of Come to Daddy?
I liked it overall. It's a very kind of average mid-tier sort of like horror thriller comedy, you could say. I kind of liked how it was sort of roping me into this sort of backwoods environment where I didn't know what was going on or if there were going to be other people like coming into the picture. So the first half kind of it sets you up for something that you don't expect, and I do like where it was kind of going. And then this, I guess, very awkward guy who's trying to meet his dad for the first time is having to fight for his life as the film progresses.
Yeah, has some twists. I think the comedy aspect works a little more than the horror aspect. Yeah. I think Elijah Wood is very self-aware in the movie, which I did like. I mean, just look at his haircut and his mustache. Yeah, it had some good twists. I loved some of the violence in it. Made me cringe a little bit, which I always like.
Sure. Yeah, I like it when he picks like more off the wall, especially independent sort of stuff like this. Like very low budget, very simple, very clear cut, but has that thrill edge to it that you can sense that he's attracted to, and I don't know, always makes the films more entertaining. He's always got that presence to him where you're like, oh, Elijah Wood's in this. I'm gonna definitely pay a little closer attention now. Yeah. He's that Frodo guy, right?
Well, anyone who's been like blacklisted from Hollywood pretty much, is gonna be good.
Yep. Him, the Macaulay Culkins of the world, all of them. It's
always love seeing them.
Damn it! Why did you ask me to come here?
I don't want to discuss it.
I need to know why you sent that letter.
I gotta take a crap.
I know what's happening.
You got no idea what's happening here. Ever been in a fight? I once kicked the guy's ear off.
I got this theory. Bad guys have eyes that look like raisins.
You
have to kill him? I'm not a murderer. You just killed somebody 5 minutes ago.
Let's see. You didn't see Christmas Chronicles 2, did you? Nah. I won't touch on it for too long, but the first film I think is actually a pretty decent family Christmas classic. The second film, you can tell it's really trying to play it up for the kids this time. Isn't really like, it's sending a good message here and there, but it's still just, it's a little too overly goofy and cheesy that I was just kind of tuning out at a certain point.
In the first one, I thought Kurt Russell was a really good Santa Claus.
Yo, he's great.
Yeah.
He has a great like opening about how like when he meets the kids for the first time and they're it's not like their Santa that they envision. He's like, oh, you're probably used to the other fat man, you know, the fake news or whatever.
Fake news. He's like, I do my cardio works out. I'm trying to cut out down on carbs.
Starts singing in jail.
Yeah,
it's great. No,
I think the first one worked because those jokes that Kurt Russell gives, like my dad loved them. Because my dad's like, I'm trying to cut down on carbs. You know, he's like, me and Santa have the same issues.
It's like tons of dad jokes. This is
yeah,
what
tons of dad jokes, and just dads love it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
dads
yeah.
like Kurt Russell. So
yeah. Yeah, second one pretty forgettable, and it's almost 2 hours. I remember thinking like this is way too long.
The second one,
yeah,
jeez,
it's like an hour and 55 minutes.
I'll say it. I revel in the 90-minute movie.
Yeah, yeah. Let's bring back like a good old solid hour and a half. What else we got here? Bill and Ted.
Oh wait.
Oh.
I want to hear your opinion on the Bee Gees documentary.
I don't have a ton to say.
Are you a Bee Gees fan?
I like the Bee Gees fairly enough.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about the documentary is that it spans really the phases of their music, because they didn't start off really big in the disco scene until like the 70s dropped. They were a very experimental band for the time. I wish the documentary got a little bit more into the drug stuff. They seem to kind of shy away from the really harsh reality of their whole career. But they did also touch on just the disco genre as a whole and how it was heavily criticized by the masses in America just for being a little too like lucid, dreamy, and crazy and wacky. And it was really a peaceful sort of like new wave form of time. I'm a disco fan too. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with the genre today. You could say it's dated, but it's there's a lot of great songs that came out of that. And the Bee Gees, they spearheaded like the genre really strongly. And I think what really blew them up and took them off the map was Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, right.
They pretty much they handed the script to them, and then they just on a whim made all these different songs, and they used them all, and they integrated them really well into the movie.
We'll have to review that. That's a weird movie.
I love that movie.
That movie has the perception of a like comedy late night party movie, but it's actually pretty somber and kind of
pretty heavy.
Yeah. But
I always tell people like it. I know you like because people love to make fun of it a lot, but you know, watch that third act. It gets pretty heavy-handed.
Right. Okay, so I just want to hear because I didn't see Freaky, but I just want to hear a quick review, non-spoiler, because I still want to watch it. I didn't know it came out.
Okay. This is coming to us, I think, from the same guy who gave us Happy Death Day.
Okay.
And what those were...
It looked like the same exact vibe.
Yeah. What those meant as horror films for, like, the Groundhog Day sort of films, the comedies... This was more like Freaky Friday. It's basically in the title, Freaky.
Yeah, which I think is like it's a funny concept.
Yeah.
Mixing a serial killer with a teenager.
Sure.
I imagine this one, Happy Death Day, played on the comedy quite a bit. Does this one even go more into that?
I would say it's about on the same level. The one edge this film has is that it's rated R.
Okay.
The Happy Death Day movies were PG-13, so they can get away with a lot more jokes that are a little bit more on the raunchy side. Can play with a lot of gore. It's a pretty gory film for a comedy. And Vince Vaughn, I think he's pretty believable as a teenage girl. He's just
Nice.
he's just having the time of his life.
I'm a Vince Vaughn fan, so
Yeah. I also mentioned he's in Arkansas. You probably heard that earlier on in my list, but yeah, I love it when like Vince Vaughn gets these comeback roles to just kind of have fun and not be in a stupid comedy like. What was the one we watched?
It's like Unwanted Business, some shit like that. Yeah. I can't remember. That movie was shit.
One thing I'll add about Freaky is that in the opening sequence, we see what Vince Vaughn is like as a serial killer. And, you know, you could prop this guy up to play the next Jason Voorhees, just like kind of seeing him in action. I'm like,
ooh, yeah?
He's got the build for it.
Well, they tried to make him, what's the character's name from Psycho?
Norman Bates.
They tried to make him Norman Bates, and that was,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he pulled that one off.
He didn't pull that one off. He needs a second chance.
But I'll just say, in that Psycho movie, all the casting is off.
Oh yeah, all of it.
Oh yeah, Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted 3.
Face the music. I
Bill
was
and
about to say
Ted
save the
Face the
music.
music. I liked Bill and Ted 3. I really did.
You've seen it more than I have, right?
I've seen it 3 times. I've seen the first 2 Bill and Ted movies, man. I grew up with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was waiting for Bill and Ted 3, and I just never thought I would get it.
Oh, okay.
And the fact that we got it and it was of this quality, which was not bad, I'm more than happy with.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I can't think of what I wanted the movie to do.
It essentially does what they were supposed to do at the end of the second one, and
Right.
you know, make the bestest, most life-changing worldwide song you could ever make. And
Okay. So a big draw to this movie is seeing them come back in older age.
Yeah.
And it's Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, and William Sadler. William Sadler is great, coming back as Death. Alex Winter, it carries the movie. Mm-hmm. He is phenomenal. It's Keanu Reeves, who I don't know if it's his acting or maybe we just seen so much Keanu at this point with
it's
Neo and John Wick. Or,
it's overkill, dude.
Yeah, maybe he just can't go back into it. And I don't think, if it's that case, it's not his fault. Yeah. But I really thought Keanu just kind of felt out of it in this one.
Yeah, he is. Even how he says "party on dudes," it's like it didn't have the same weight that it did when back in the 90s.
Yeah, but that being said, I thought Alex Winter knocked it out of the park. And we haven't seen him in forever.
Yeah, he was like dying to do this work. He
is Bill. Like,
yeah.
How many things is Keanu? He's Neo, he's John Wick, he's all these things.
Yeah. But Alex Winter, he is Bill like you've never seen him before. He's going all in.
He's so dumb in this movie. It's hilarious.
We get to see them old. We get to see them as British pride and proper people. We get to see them as like total like muscle heads.
Did you like their daughters?
The daughters were fine. They were a little harder to. Well, they were kind of indistinguishable. Really, they just kind of felt the same as them.
Not as distinguishable as Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not hard to be like a very aloof dummy anyway. Like it's just like there's nothing challenging about their performances. It's more sentimental than when we see Alex Winter and Keanu kind of come back. But I didn't mind them there. They were fine.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fun to have them there. I think the soundtrack is good. I think if you look up the soundtrack online, you can listen to that whole song they play at the beginning with the bagpipes and everything. Sure. That's cool. Those little extensions.
I do have a small gripe with some of the production value. I don't care for the green screen sort of backgrounds in this movie.
The green screen backgrounds are garbage.
Even Hell doesn't look as good as it does in the second film.
It's from the director of Galaxy Quest. Yeah. And Galaxy Quest is it's one of the best movies ever made. But that movie looks like a TV show, but it works for that movie because it's parodying Star Trek, which was a TV show. But watch all of his other movies. They are shot like TV shows. Like, the lighting is so even. There is, like, no emotion coming off of any of the visuals of the shots. Yeah. Like, that don't come from the characters.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of wish it had that more... Because the production value in Bill and Ted 2 is just so, like, out there and zany and weird. Yeah. I was kind of, like, hoping they would bring some of that back. But, I mean... When you have a big movie like this where it's like the big comeback vehicle where you're like, oh, your favorite nostalgic friends are back to do one more movie in their primetime age, you take what you can get.
That being said, this movie did make us laugh.
Oh,
and that's all you can ask for, in a comedy movie. So
fantastic.
One movie I do want to talk about where you don't have to put this in or not was The Vast of Night. To give it a formal talk, since it was my favorite movie, I think it was officially released in the end of 2019, but came out on streaming services in 2020.
Yeah, that was a first-time director too. He was.
Oh man, yeah.
What a great knockout hit.
Budget, yeah. Right? And was like the writer too. And my favorite thing is, it's such a genre movie. I feel like we haven't seen a 1950s like Silver Age sci-fi horror movie that is so low-key and takes itself as seriously as this one. Mm-hmm. Like, because it does the 1950s setting so perfectly, but it's not flashy. Yeah. It doesn't show anything off. It all takes place at nighttime. Almost the use
it's
of
one night.
Yeah, the use of black in this movie is so good with the shadows and
Well, I was gonna say even like just down to some of the visuals too. Like it does use some CGI, but it hides it so perfectly. This is how you like implement VFX.
Oh yeah.
To help your film, and it's
sure.
so seamless looking. I don't like. There's times where I'm like looking close. I'm like, this looks so real. You know?
Yeah, like just thinking about how they do that one tracking shot, which is the shot in the movie, which everyone knows. It tracks through the whole town, and you were showing me where they implemented the CGI through it. So you have this, like, because of that shot, you have this awesome sense of space, which isn't really that wide, like maybe like 2 square miles, this whole town. It's tiny. But even with showing so little, and just through that shot, the whole world feels so fleshed out.
And I'm currently on production right now on a film right now, and Vast of Night, the tone and the feel of somebody just quietly and quaintly listening to a recording or something over the airwaves, and not knowing where it's coming from or its origin, and kind of having a little bit of a creepy tone to it. Massive inspiration on what I'm working on right now. Yeah. It's really cool to see that implemented so well on film.
Right, we have that. There's that one amazing shot in the movie, or it's just a great scene where the main guy, he's talking to Billy on the phone, and we're just listening to Billy's voice, and who was it? Bruce Davis, I believe, does the voice of Billy talking over the phone, and it's so good. And just the decision to just fade to black, I feel like is such confidence in that scene. It's so good. It's like, okay, it's just
movie over.
We know you're listening to his voice. You don't need to see anything. Yeah. Like, it's like, just listen. And it works so well. The story he's telling and everything. Mm-hmm. And the acting is great, too.
Yeah, the acting out of everybody is perfect. I mean, a lot of these are actors I've never seen before. Hopefully we'll make it big. Even down to the dialogue, it felt really authentic to the 50s as well. It was it had that snappy charm to it that you would get out of like a fun comedic talkie of the time, but you take it very seriously too, because the characters they work off of each other so well.
Right, and you have Jake Horowitz, and like I loved his character, that he's one of those guys that's really smart. He knows a lot. He's cool, but at the same time, he's like kind of a douchebag. He's kind of self-centered, a little bit of a dick, and that just comes through the dialogue. But I thought Sierra McCormick, she was the standout star of this movie, especially with that 1 10-minute shot she has with her just on the call machine, just answering the phone lines. And I love that we didn't see the aliens. I thought this movie was going to blow its load at the end and show us the aliens, and I'm really happy we didn't see them.
I'm glad they didn't like come down and start probing their asses or anything.
Yeah, right. And the spaceships looked cool. It looked like a model or something.
It looked, oh yeah, like the way the machinery, you kind of see like this nice cool blue and red glow that gives it like a weird cool sort of palette. And everything just looked so cool and in camera, the way they shot it and animated it.
Well, we've sucked this movie's dick enough, so
yeah.
I think there is one bad thing to say about it, which is the movie starts out in that black and white TV screen, which I do like, kind of introduces it, but then it cuts to these stupid moments where it just turns into a black and white TV, and it just looks like the movie with a shitty filter over it. Because, if you're going to shoot something to make it look old, at least make the shots look like old-time shots. Yeah. This is doing close-ups and dolly moves and everything with just a black and white filter over it.
Yeah. Well, it speaks to, like if you're going to play up an aesthetic, go 100%, because what we've seen here is that it's mostly just trying to be this more modern-day cinematic approach to an older time period,
and it does it perfectly in the scenes that aren't what I'm talking about. Like, I think it does it really well.
Yeah, it's like there was a film I watched where they shot it on 16mm, which is like cool. I always support that, but they felt like because they were shooting it in that film format, they had to have it take place in the 90s. I'm like, no, you can have it take place any decade. It doesn't matter. Just like own it. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. And also, great title.
Number, please.
Hello? Is this Lee? Flying on
WOTW Radio in Cayuga, New Mexico, and this is the news for the hour.
Now, what would you like to tell us about yourself?
I don't know.
Cool, aren't you like some big science girl? Tell me about science.
Everett, it's Faye. The sound came through the board and interrupted your radio show.
What does it sound like?
What's going on, Everett?
718 here at WOTW. We got a sound we'd like to play that seems to be bouncing around the valley tonight.
Yes, I have a story that might be helpful.
I can tell you what's going on.
The sound we heard out in the desert, it was coming from thousands of feet higher than anything could fly.
They've come here before. They've liked this place. They always have.
I guess we can talk a little bit about the movies that have come from the past that we watched. You know, 2020 was very boring. It was kind of lame, kind of shitty for film and TV. So we ended up having to watch a lot of old stuff. Classics from the past.
Ooh, blasts from the past?
Yeah.
Let me see. Some good ones I watched. Ooh.
We both watched Ghost.
Ooh, Ghost, yeah. That was a great one.
I hadn't seen the film in its entirety before, and I couldn't believe how impressed I was as not only a comedy, a revenge thriller, part ghost story,
romance,
part romance,
action. Yeah, it's a little bit of everything, and it works.
Yeah, it blends it all so well.
Patrick Swayze's good in it too.
He's great.
Whoopi Goldberg, who I do not like in anything. She's great in it.
Oh yeah, she was. I think she got nominated for this film. Actually, she was really good.
Yeah,
as the best supporting player. Tony Goodwin, holy crap, like underrated villain. Holy.
It's almost like a superhero movie, which I think we've said before. It's like he's discovering his ghost superpowers.
Yes. And then he like descends into space.
And the use of Unchained Melody. I need your love. It's such an excellent song, but it's like the way they use it as a motif is so funny. But it all works so well. It's such a strange movie. The biggest thing this movie has going against for it is the poster. Mm-hmm. The poster just conveys a completely different type of film.
Yeah, it's like you're in for just like, oh, this is the most standard rom-com, but he turns into a ghost. And but then you watch the movie and it just like propels that to 110%. Yeah, no, quite a surprise, that movie. And by Zucker brother too. I mean, you know, these guys do all these screwball random comedies, and then out of the blue, you know, a drama like this comes out from one of them. Very nice, very nice.
One that we watched, Shogun Assassin.
A fucking badass movie.
Yeah, that movie was crazy. Based off a comic book.
Yeah. And combines
Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yes. Now, and it combines 2 or 3 episodes.
Two movies.
2 movies. Okay, in
one to an American film, but still pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked the kind of disco, well, not disco, techno-y soundtrack they had, mixing with Japanese sounds and lots of violence, and I love the way they used the baby and good shit.
Yeah, it's got a good sort of like neo samurai western sort of feel, and I'm glad that there's like movies like this where they just go completely AWOL, very bloody, very goofy too. Like all the characters, you kind of remember their faces or their looks, their outfits. It's like it was like a journeyman's like tale of just like, oh, who am I gonna run into this time? It's like the next boss fight. Here we go.
A great movie to just like open a beer and just kick back and enjoy. Okay, one movie I watched, which I know you're a fan of, was The Black Cauldron by Disney. I thought it was okay. I loved the villain. I think for every step forward the movie took in terms of tone and just what I thought Disney could have strived for, they took 2 steps back. The movie goes for this darker, more violent tone, but at the same time, for every step they do that, they introduce some stupid character or some dumb line of dialogue or some dumb plot thread.
It's got one of the more fascinating like backstories, because first off, I think it's the second in the Pendragon series that it's based on.
Okay, that's interesting.
There's 20 minutes or so cut from the film that was like seen as too obscene for Disney standards at the time. It's the first PG-rated animated Disney film. Like there's a scene where like you see a naked woman. There's a scene where like
really
nice. No, there's a scene where our main guy gets more bloodied up or whatever. There was a little bit more gore that was just cut from the original version, and it's just lying there in a Disney vault. They won't even touch it. I'm like, I really want to see this stuff. Yeah. But I defend it because it's just a very flawed, interesting production. And it's like just a classic little fantasy tale. The boy trying to like reunite with his pig, and it's
yeah. And who's the little furry guy?
Gurgi.
Gurgi had a great like redemption arc in my mind because I hated him. I wish he would die. And then what does he do? He gives up his life and he dies. And I say I love you.
He's earned their respect.
Yeah. And then what happens? He comes back to life. And then I liked him more when he was dead.
You didn't like them like walking off in the distance at the end?
No, not at all. These fantasy stories, you need to give them some weight.
I know. Disney was in the rut. They didn't know what they were doing in the 80s.
Oh, yeah. Who didn't? I mean, that's when we got cats. Okay. So a movie that I watched, which I loved, and I discovered because it was on Tim Burton's top 10 movies list, was The Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my gosh. From 1973. This movie was phenomenal, and you can see the Tim Burton influence, not necessarily the artistic style, but just in kind of the animation, the way things play out, the cheesy jump scares, you know?
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really good. There's a lot of like floating heads, like just a lot of weird magic. Yeah, no, this movie was a full out adventure, start to finish. Great stop motion, great miniatures.
Is it Ray Harryhausen or no? Somebody else.
I'm not sure if Harryhausen did it. It's Harryhausen level effects. I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
It sounds like an epic. I gotta watch on a big screen.
Yeah, awesome movie.
Awesome. Let's see here. I'll mention a couple other ones here. Well, actually, we'll segue to Sorcerer. We both watched this one.
Yeah, I liked Sorcerer a lot.
This is William Friedkin's Sorcerer from 1977.
Not what I expected though.
Somebody was trying to make the comparison of that film to Suicide Squad.
What?
Where you have a group of criminals who have to band together to complete a goal.
2 criminals? I guess that's a band.
Well, so we got these 5 guys technically. One of them dies.
Yeah.
Early on.
Oh, we focus on 2. We focus on Schneider.
Yeah, Roy Schneider.
Who's the other one?
I can't remember the other names of the cast, but that's our American lead that we got to work with. But just a tense as hell fucking movie. I mean, this is like, I'm sure there was a lot of stunt professionals involved doing most of these scenes, but you're still seeing waves of rainwater like hose down these trucks, crossing just
that
the
bridge
scary
scene.
Yeah, you can tell that they are at these locations and they are fully committed and just rolling camera and seeing how it plays out.
What I found most interesting about the movie was how much time it spends on its beginning. It really spends time to introduce these characters and how much is at stake for them, because they're each of the the 2 main characters are each caught in some external ploy or plot that affects their lives, and their way of getting out of it is through this job. Their lives depend on this job, and then adding that you have this explosive material on the truck just adds, okay, their lives is on the job like twice as much, you know?
Yeah, especially that if slightly nudged will just blow everything up too.
Yeah, it's such a great vehicle for like high tension. Yeah. And they play out those moments so well. Specifically that bridge scene, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you get to see it twice because there's 2 trucks.
2 for the price of 1.
Yeah.
No, and you bring up a good point about just like spending your time with these characters like for a good chunk of the first third of the movie, and especially how you learn like they have to go in hiding in this like South American caravan, and they have to have these nicknames now, and they have to completely like cover themselves up from the world, and some of them have like wives and like families to return to. Others, have only lived a life of crime, and it's like, as you say, like it all rains down on completing this mission. And to what end too? Like they're just gonna get a little bit of cash out of it. It's not like it's gonna be like the saving grace for them.
It's do or die either way.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you blow up in the truck, you're dead. If you don't complete the mission and don't get the money, you die.
You die.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And rated PG, and it's pretty
It's
intense.
PG?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Sorcerer, 10 out of 10 for me.
How many Friedkin movies have you seen?
I've seen that.
I didn't finish Cruising, so I cannot find a time to watch it because there's so much gay stuff in it. I need to watch it in secret. I don't want anyone walking in on me in like the huge movie room because that movie is ballsy for the 70s.
Oh yeah.
And that I noticed that from the opening scene. I was like, wow, I cannot believe they went there.
You take that plot too, like a gay serial killer is like slaughtering people. It's like you cannot sell that plot line to people nowadays. It's crazy.
No, yeah. I mean, I guess you could, but not as straight up as the way they do it. I need to finish it. I got halfway through it.
I totally get though wanting to kind of watch it on your own. It's not one I would watch with the family. But in terms of Friedkin's work, I've seen that. That's one of my favorites. Exorcist, obviously. I haven't seen French Connection still. It's been on my list.
Me neither. We should watch that together. I do like The Exorcist. The Exorcist is a good movie.
Oh, it's one of my favorite movies ever. Yeah. Absolutely. Killer Joe with Matthew McConaughey.
Is that more recent?
That was one of his more recent ones from 2013. Yeah. That's a very good one, too. It's based on a play.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, another movie I watched this year was Old Dark House, The Old Dark House, directed by James Whale, who is a director actually I've recently kind of been getting the flavor for, which you don't really get with, he did Frankenstein. Yeah. You don't really get it with that. You do get it with Bride of Frankenstein. He understood horror comedy. Oh, he got it down. And I think The Old Dark House it's spooky, but I had so much fun with it. It's at the same time hilarious.
It just seems like the perfect thing to watch like around Halloween season. It's just like the quintessential creepy old, mansion or like home sort of base.
Right.
With just that nice flair of just like the creeps, but also the hokiness that you would get of that time period.
That one character who they like unleash at the end from like that locked room.
Yeah.
And he's totally crazy, but he's like trying to manipulate the characters' minds to thinking he's smart.
Yeah.
But he's just a psychopath.
Definitely my top 10 Boris Karloff performances too. Like he's just this.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
He's just like this big, heavy, like zombified retard.
He's one of the best big heavies in all of cinema.
Yeah. Great creepy tone throughout, and it's a quick watch. People forget a lot of these movies, a lot of these horror greats from the 30s and the 40s, like they get themselves over with by the 70-minute mark. They're done.
You can watch 2 or 3 of them in one sitting.
Exactly.
But another one that you recommended me that I loved, another horror classic, was Eyes Without a Face.
Yes.
What do you have to say about this one?
I think it's very ballsy for the time to like show that much explicit gore in a very beautiful sort of manner, because it's a very pretty looking movie in terms of how it's handled. I remember when I kind of watched it blindly, having already seen the sort of the quintessential remake of it, which is The Skin I Live In with Antonio Banderas, which has a similar plot line, but this time this one is a French film, and it takes the revenge genre, I think, into a completely different direction that no one was really anticipating. And I think it's kind of cool that it's as prolific and explicit as it is.
That's what I was going to say. Well, no. What surprised me about it was, like you said, how explicit it was with the peeling off of the faces and the guy getting eaten by the dogs at the end. Yeah. It just felt. It did feel ahead of its time when I was watching it.
Good to put on for the kids. Good to put on for the babies. Good to put on for the pets. What else can I mention real fast? Roar from 1981. This is a film directed by Noel Marshall, and it stars him, Tippi Hedren, and the rest of their whole family. This is basically a family picture, only it's while they're on vacation and spending it with over a dozen lions.
Real lions.
Real lions. They are mauling the hell out of everybody on set. Shit. Nobody died. Thankfully, nobody died on set, but that did not mean that somebody probably should have at some point. Somebody should have shot themselves in the face to end it all. No, but it is a suspenseful ride for a film that is trying to preach about animal cruelty and things like that.
Really?
It is a wild movie where you were watching just these cats go at it left and right and terrorize this whole family, and then have the tenacity, the balls at the end to say oh, but it's okay, we can still coexist with lions.
No, you can't. We just saw why you can't. They'll eat you.
Yeah. It's not a very conventional film. It's not like it's following a very hardcore streamlined plot. It's there. It's just the family coming to visit him. They don't know that he's got this country home in South Africa with all of these lions just roaming around as pets. But they learn the hard way, and honestly, it makes for a great, entertaining, stressful viewing.
That's good.
It's good to just feel bad about yourself and just watch other people get terrorized.
Nice. Well, I'll have to check it out.
You would love it, I think. I don't know.
I think I would too.
Yeah, no animals harmed. Just a lot of people.
Just a lot of people.
And then I'll probably end it here with. Well, I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than it's just a really creepy experience and crazy cool one too. But Tetsuo the Iron Man, really good. Watched it with the Joe Bob Briggs commentary on Shudder. If you liked Akira, if you like any of the J horror stuff that deals with the mechanical side of things that kind of show off the more crazy zaniness that you can do with human bodies, that film is one worth checking out. It's black and white. It's independent. Didn't rise in popularity until decades later with American audiences. Mm-hmm. But I would consider it probably one of the great horror classics. And it's not even that scary. It's just very crazy and off the wall. It feels almost like it's shot by a commercial director who wanted to play around with effects. That's how I would probably describe it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much rounded out a good percentage of 2020. There were some good shows. There was Tiger King.
Tiger King was good, but talked to death.
Yeah. It was just a lot of crap.
A lot of shit. I mean, Jeremy's going to do his top 10. Who knows what the fuck's in that? Probably a lot of porn, if you ask me. Porn and documentaries and a few episodes of DuckTales.
Oh fuck! We had Animaniacs make its resurgence last year.
Was it any good?
I didn't watch it because I'm scared.
I heard it sucks.
I bet it does suck.
No, I'm just kidding.
They can't get with the fucking times.
I never watched that shit. I was too busy watching The Matrix Reloaded when I was 3. Just kidding. I was 6.
I was watching some cool shit around those ages, but sometimes you gotta put on the cartoons. You gotta put on SpongeBob or something.
Not me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Jake, thanks for joining me again. This was a fun little ride to take a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It was what it was, and at the end of the day, it's just movies, and what we should really be paying attention to are our families and friends and Jesus. I saw this awesome movie this year called The Red Beast Cometh.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check it out.
And relevant too.
It's directed by what's his name? Jacob Hirsch? Is that correct?
Yeah, Jacob Hirsch. He's great, and it stars Mitch Biggums.
Mitchell Biggums. Oh my god,
No,
I love
just
that guy.
Mitch.
Just Mitch?
Yeah, just Mitch Biggums.
He prefers Mitch? Okay.
Yeah, it's just Mitch Biggums, and he is phenomenal. I think this is his best role yet.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. This has been on my radar for a while, but I haven't gone around to seeing it. I hope it does well.
Yeah, it's on Film Chow Productions.
Okay.
YouTube channel.
Whoever runs that production company, he must be a very handsome young lad. I'm proud of that guy.
Maybe, just maybe. You just had to search him up to find out yourself.
Cool. All right, and you can also do you have anything you'd like to plug, Jake?
Nothing right now.
Nothing right now. That's fine. You can still follow me over at Jeremobie on Twitter, Jeremobie on Letterboxd, and at Film Chow Productions, as we have just revealed on Facebook.com. Thank you all for listening. Thanks, Jake, for coming on.
You're welcome.
And you all have a good night.
Good night.